lots of times when you go to the refrigerator, if you're not good at cleaning out the refrigerator, and you find something in the very back that has this hairy looking stuff all over it, and you're like, ooh, yuck, that's nasty. Well, part of that has to do with mold. It can even fall over into the category of bacteria. Some of those have to do even related to germs and fungi or fungus. And so there's all kinds of categories that fit in there together. Some of those things are biological because they are alive, but also it can be a physical change of the product, and that's why we're talking about it in terms of physical. But it could fit in that category as well. I brought today some examples of bread that was molded. I know that all of you probably have had a piece of bread or something, as I said, in the refrigerator that molded over. You'd be surprised at how long it took me to get these breads to mold because of the artificial things that they include in it, inhibitors to keep from having the mold to grow. And it did take me a long time to get the bread to mold. So if you do this experiment with your students, leave yourself enough time to get your bread to mold unless you accidentally find some bread that's molded. Now, that looks pretty nasty. This also looks pretty nasty, and if you think about, this is cheese. Okay, so you see two different kinds of cheese, and you see that it is molded. This cheddar cheese back here, the back side of it is completely molded. Now, I grant you it took about a month or so for me to get this to grow this thick, but you'll see this other one has quite a bit of mold on it as well. Now, cheese is one of those interesting things that very often has mold in the production of cheese. And so in the book that we're giving you, it has some explanation about cheese, that how mold is used in the production of that. Many of you like blue cheese, and that greeny looking stuff that's in the blue cheese, and this is blue cheese like you would eat in salad dressing, or if you like blue cheese by itself, is mold. So all mold is not bad. There's lots of good mold, like this one. Now, there's also good mold like penicillin. Obviously, without mold, we would never have had penicillin. So interesting that mold can be both bad and both good. So be careful what you're eating. Make sure that what you're eating is good. Also, I mentioned that fungus or fungi fits in this same category. The same principle is true with mushrooms. Mushrooms are a good example of fungi that we eat. But there are poisonous fungus as well, so be careful when you're eating mushrooms that you know what you're eating. But they fit in all that category. Again, that lends over to biology, probably more than physical science, but would be a good science experiment as well. Also, it'd be good for your students to know about using agar and making biological samples, or making samples for your chemistry lab of what kinds of things are there. Kids enjoy seeing what will grow in terms of a culture. I did buy the agar already poured. To me, that's easier than pouring your own agar, but you can do that as well. I have read that you can use clear gelatin. I've never tried that. You might give it a whirl. Obviously, that would be a cheap way to go. But I bought 4 of these containers with already poured agar for like $6. So it's not a big investment. Okay, so on those, and if you'll remember from chemistry class how to do this, but I streaked off what I was doing. I took a Q-tip, ran it on whatever product I was going to use, very carefully ran it across the agar. It did take a little while to grow the examples that I have here. The one that did the most, which was sort of disgusting to me, was my phone. So you can see that why germs are spread in different things. You can see little pieces down here that are different colors showing different kinds of bacteria. You can see a little bit of orange, a little bit of white, a little bit of tan, so a variety of different things. But make sure you label it. It does need to be sealed. Light is not its friend. It does better in warm places, so if you have a nice warm place for it to be, that's the thing to do. If you buy the little things already augured, then it will give you directions about the temperature and so forth. If you make your own, obviously keep those things in mind. The one at the bottom is a sink at place other than my house. I won't say where, but you can see that the bottom grew really, really well. The top is my throat, which I was pleased to see didn't have much bacteria growing in it. The little clear place up here at the top. The commode is the second section in there. So you can see it grew some nice colorful stuff as well. So a little orange